to the very first episode of TikDocs. I am one of your hosts, Caitlin Baker, aka That Fat Doctor. And my co-host is...
Hi, I am Dr. Terrell DeGans, and I am somewhat popular on TikTok thanks to Dr. Caitlin. So I am that black doctor.
He's getting there. So T, why don't you tell us a little bit about you? I know that most people will know a little bit about me, so they probably want to know more about you.
I don't think so, but we'll find out. So just a little background. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised, loved it. And I have been all over the world. I have practiced psychology for many, many years. I've done everything you can think of. My clinical specialties, if you want to refer to them as that, OCD, ADHD, severe mental illness, sex offenders, you name it, I probably worked with it at some point in time. And of course I do evaluations, because why not? And yeah, that's pretty much me. And my
so
doctor
basically all about just the super hard stuff.
Yeah.
Very fortunate. Got it. Got it. So, and for those of you that don't know about me, Dr. Caitlin, kind of TikTok famous. Sounds really terrible, and I hate saying that. Just a little. So my specialties are health psych majorly. So I specialize in eating disorders, body dysmorphia, bariatrics. I do a lot of testing evaluations for bariatrics. Chronic pain, chronic illness, somatic disorders, anxiety. But like T, I have literally worked with everything. Schizophrenia, DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, you name it, I've seen it. So between the two of us, we have quite a bit of, I would say, skill and knowledge, maybe.
Yeah. Somehow, even though we're both really new to the field.
Yeah, So actually, I know a lot of you were kind of curious about T and I and how this came about because he wasn't on TikTok. So the fact that I came out with a podcast and there was somebody that you guys didn't know. So T and I actually met, we worked together. What year was that? 20...
It was okay. So it was probably in the program. So maybe like 2017-ish.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, we worked at a community mental health, which we don't need to talk about that place today, because that's a whole other episode on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's how we met, and we kind of joked that he was my work husband, and we just got along really well. And everyone was asking me to start a podcast, and my first thought was T. Like, our banter is good. He knows his stuff. He's very bright in terms of like the brain, all this stuff that
in there.
This stuff. And I know that stuff, but not as well as he does. So I'm glad that he's here and that he agreed to do this wild journey thing with me. So
yeah, well, we're gonna need you here because you're gonna be carrying the hell out of the show. So.
All right. So our topic today, of course, I feel like we needed to start out with some self-love.
Yeah. Of course.
And of course, with that comes self-hate.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I guess we just don't jump right in.
Yeah. Well, let's define self-love first.
Yeah.
So, just in your personal clinical experience and your definition, what do you think self-love is?
I think self-love is... Just put me on the spot, T. Self-love is when you really care deeply about yourself and your well-being enough to put boundaries in place with others, enough to, the ultimate goal for me is loving myself enough that I want to be healthy and put nutrition into my body because I want to protect and help my body because it helps me out every day. So yeah, it's just about respecting yourself and, stopping all that negative talk. And it's an unconditional love because you're stuck with yourself forever. So what about you? What would you say?
For me, it's a heavy focus on that unconditional piece. I think being able to accept yourself for who you are with all the greatness, all the flaws, and really understanding who you are as a person is what self-love really is.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that's love. It's not saying like, I wish I were taller, shorter, fatter, thinner, whatever. It's saying, this is who I am. and I appreciate it for what it is. And if
Absolutely.
you want to work on yourself, you can, but it doesn't mean that you don't love yourself. It means that you want to improve on what you already love, and that's the key piece.
Yeah, I really like that. That was beautiful. I think that like a major issue with self-love is people think that it means that you are just like egotistical or narcissistic and just
Mhm.
all about you. And also like I think that people assume that you are saying, "Oh, I'm perfect. I don't have to work on my toxic traits." And that's so far from the truth. It's,
Mhm.
loving yourself enough to recognize those toxic traits and maybe, how you're hurting or affecting others or even yourself and
Mhm.
addressing that and fixing that so that it's kind of enveloped in it and not a side note. That's important.
Yeah, it is. And for me, I realized that it takes me a lot to appreciate things about myself.
Mm,
And all of the positives that come with, just being a person that's authentic seems really nice until you like sit back and like, okay, what do I appreciate about myself?
yeah.
Um, for me, I don't even know if I can name like 10 things. I can
Let's
live.
do this. T. Let's build up some confidence
All
and
right, well,
self-love.
all
Three
right,
things, go.
three things. Okay, one, quick-witted.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I can come back at you like that, and humor is in there with that. So I would say that's the number one thing. Um, Two, I am strangely loyal to people. To people that like I just meet. Like if I have a connection, I am loyal to you. I will be your friend, and I don't take other people's sides for that.
And
So
I
if
can attest to
yeah,
that's fact.
yeah. So if I'm friends with you and someone else that I'm also friends with doesn't like you, I don't pick sides. I will be your friend until you give me a reason personally not to be your friend. And I think that's important for me just as a value. Um, the third one. Here we go.
I could have asked you to name 10. I only asked for three.
Yeah, that would have
So.
yeah, that would have been the longest podcast ever. You know what? Even though like I'm probably never going to be 100% like, oh, my body's amazing. Um, I know that I'm an athletic person by nature, and I love the fact that I am athletic. So I can push myself past my limits all the time. I'm constantly trying to get better, and I appreciate that my body's able to do that because I could have been a completely different person if I weren't trying to push myself all the time.
I love that, especially because you were like, my body isn't perfect, but it takes care of me and allows me to do all these things, which is exactly what self-love is. It's not saying I'm perfect. It's saying like I love myself despite my flaws and
Mhm.
despite those imperfections. And
Mhm.
those are the things that make me perfect and make me me. So I really love that.
Thank you. Reverse.
Oh God. No, that's not fair. I was not expecting that. What do I like about myself? I think I should know this. I like can rattle them off because I do my affirmations every day, you know?
Well, good. Now you're going to do 10.
No, I think I like my heart. I think I genuinely I try to be as much as myself as possible at all times in TikTok and whatever else, and I think that that comes across. Like I do really genuinely care so much. Like I get messages, I cry. They're so heartbreaking,
Mhm.
um, which is also a downfall because when you have such a big heart, it gets broken really easily. Um, I what else do I like? Oh, I like my height. So I'm 5'11".
You are dumb tall, and that's
Yeah,
so cool. I remember like seeing you for the first time. Like, why is she so fucking tall?
yeah, tall and just large, and like I'm built like a linebacker, and I'm fine with it. I think like it's given me a lot of perspective, and also I think that's part of why I'm so mothering because I'm just literally more like bigger than everyone else. So I'm like, let me be your mom. Um, and I think the third thing would be my dancing skills, obviously.
Listen, there's plenty of evidence of your dancing skills.
We don't need to talk about that today either. Anyways, so yeah, one of the most common questions that I get asked every single day, at least once, and that's, I mean, probably at least 5 times, would be
Mhm.
how do I start loving myself? And I feel like that's a very complex question.
It is.
So I want to hear your thoughts on that.
So there's the like CBT, which cognitive behavioral therapy way for those that aren't initiated, I guess. So there's the CBT way, and then there's the everyday, just kind of doing it for you way that I can think of off the top of my head. So the CBT way is essentially like fake it till you make it. Tell yourself the affirmations. Start to believe it. Something called behavioral activation is you do the actions before the feeling comes, and it works. So you look in the mirror and you smile, just even when you're not feeling it, you just smile and you say like, this is what I wanted to see today.
Mm.
Those are great ways to start. And that's if it's body related. If it's more mental, then you say like, I appreciate the fact that I fill in the blank. So that I even woke up. I appreciate the fact that I'm going to see someone today, even if I'm not up to it. I appreciate the fact that I'm trying,
Yeah.
whether it's a bad relationship, whether it's just a bad idea of who you are as a person. Just, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to be better today. And then accepting at the end of the day, you did.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So for
I
that, that's me.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really great. I love that. I think talking like CBT, I have a lot of people that I'll tell them that I'll be like, you have to just do it, and they're like, but I can't. I can't look in the mirror. Which I understand is really when you are truly that at war with your appearance, and then looking at the mirror, it's hard and emotional, and totally get that. But at the same time, like T said, like fake it till you make it is actually a psychological principle in a way. A little, obviously not phrased that way quite. But it's true. It's true. And that's, people ask me like, how did you get so confident? And why did you start TikTok? And my answer was pretty simple in that I saw a video of a girl who was crying because she was being bullied. And I was like, oh, hell no. Now when Mama Caitlin's around. So I started making videos, and I remember some of my videos, I was like, if you want to like hate me and not other creators, cool, because like I can take it and I think it's funny. So that's kind of how I started, just to kind of show women that it's okay to be okay. And then also when I got hate messages, I responded to them with humor. And I think that that really showed people like you don't have to take it to heart. You can poke fun at it. You can poke fun at yourself. I totally got off topic, but anyway.
No, I'm going to use. So I'm going to introduce kind of the first thing I want to put is like I'm going to do this. Like, I have a side note or a tangent. So I'm going to we're going to go on a tangent a little bit. So tangent. I had my first troll kind of talk, and we're not going to put names to it, even though people can find it really easily. But I did a TikTok which somehow has the most views, and it was like the shittiest thing I could do, where it's like a little tune, it was like ask me questions basically, and it was a little bit annoying. But I was like, I'm not going to respond to negativity because that's not the point of me making my TikTok. I want to help people and put positive out there. So I've been responding with positive responses each time, and then I found out when I was going through my responses because I was trying to answer the questions until 3 in the morning. Bad idea.
I saw you up at 3. I was creeping. I was like, it says he just replied. T, go to bed.
I really needed to. Thank God I'm not working today. Anyway, I noticed some of the comments were from the like troll. It's like, I have a cool head, and like basically the olive branch is extended. And I was like, yes, this is the point. Like, not to just respond in anger, to put positivity out there and get positive back.
I love that example.
So I really enjoyed that moment, and I was like, well, if I didn't have to disable my comments to not get like 100,000 more questions by tomorrow, I would have totally just been like, I'm glad we can, hash this out or whatever. But it's good to know that even when you're personally agitated for whatever reason, you can always try to be positive and then see positivity come back at you.
Absolutely. And then that's leading right to the next question is literally everyone, how are you so positive all the time? And I definitely don't want to give off that kind of aura that I am positive all the time, because I am very human and I have bad days, and everyone has bad days. But the answer is I choose it. I wake up and I choose positivity. There's a point, and I've been pretty open about this on TikTok. I have anxiety and depression. I've had it for my entire life. But there are some days where I'm laying in bed, like this morning. I went to bed at like 4 a.m. and woke up at 9 for this podcast. And I wanted so badly to text T and be like, can we make this later in the day? I need to sleep. Or I could get up, be very excited about my very first podcast, get ready, interact with you all on live, and it's a choice. And it's some days you have to listen to your body and say like, okay, today's a day I can't make that choice. But on the days that you can, and there's even that sliver of hope, or you even have that thought of I should get up, which we'll talk about shoulds in a second. That was a bad example. But take that option if you can and watch how things change for you.
That is great advice.
Yeah, that's just what I do, because sometimes that's just, I think, you know, when therapists can relate to their clients, I think it really can help, because I am a person and T is a person. And
what?
Just kidding. I don't know what T is. An alien. So you look like you had something to say when I was talking. I'm waiting for the rant.
No, there's no rant here.
Oh.
Honestly, I really appreciate you sharing that, and it's so difficult to come to terms with like how you're feeling in the moment and then trying to do the opposite. And a lot of things when people are talking to you about, they don't understand because they haven't experienced it. So the mentality is, oh, just do this. As therapists who live their own lives and have their own struggles, we can say, we know it's not just do this, but this is the result.
Right.
And at least for me, when I'm working with my clients, I say, like, I know it's easier to say than it is to do this, but this is what you need to do in order to get to that next point.
Yeah. I love that. Like, you showing that you understand, like, we know we can give out advice all day, but unless like we take it ourselves, which is another whole topic. But we know it's not easy. We're completely aware, but it's that mindset. It's all mindset. Like I said, you make it your own choice and think of it that way. And the other thing that I like to do is just, and tell people, is awareness is literally everything in psychology. Being aware of your triggers, being aware of maybe why you don't want to get out of bed in that day, particularly. The more that you're aware of your triggers, the more that you can challenge those triggers and challenge kind of that negative thought pattern. So I really encourage journaling, CBT thought logs, which are cognitive behavioral therapy, where you kind of log down what your automatic thought was, like what popped up, what were you doing at the time, and you know, trying to track it and figure out your patterns and figure out what's going on a little bit deeper. So that would be my advice for that. I'm sure you have other tips and tricks up your sleeve too.
I do, but I want to really emphasize the journaling piece, because I don't have it within reach, but I do have my own journal and I've had it for years. And I don't even put like everyday stuff. Of course, you have yours like arm's reach. But I find it to be so helpful to understand where I've come from and where I am, and it helps to understand where I'm going. So I can look back at what my thoughts were when I was 15 years old and like, oh, I'm kind of a POS. So maybe I haven't changed that much, and maybe these struggles aren't unique to the times. It's something I've always been concerned about. And how do I make better decisions moving forward? And just having that ability to reflect on what I was actually thinking and feeling with no other input, no interpretations from other people, it makes such a big difference.
Yeah, I love that. I love journaling so much. I think that, you know, it's hard, and it's like you have to get into a routine of remembering to do it, but looking back on your good days and seeing your bad days and just being like, why? Like it's just very impactful, and saying, you know, today sucked, but look at yesterday. Yesterday was a good day. Maybe tomorrow is going to be a good day too. Just writing down your feelings unbiased without having to worry about someone judging you. Again, very therapeutic. Okay, so we had some issues. Technology. It's great. It's fun. It's awesome. So we're back,
We're
And
back.
we're gonna, I think, transition
Hmm.
into,
The other side of the coin from self-love.
which is self-hate,
Okay.
self-loathing,
Yeah.
self-destructive tendencies, all that fun stuff.
I'll start. So let's do the basics, which is I'm so glad you're doing the editing piece of this because I despise the sound of my voice recorded. It doesn't matter if it's audio, if it's video, if I hear my own voice, I'll recognize it and then I'll instantly hate the sound that just came out of my mouth. Because in my mind, I sound something closer like this. But
There's
obviously,
that negative self-talk we were talking about.
I know. But then if you can just point it on other people, no. But and that's just kind of the smallest example. But there's so many things about myself, and I'm like, don't do that. Do
Yeah.
better. Be honest. Be the example you're trying to like set for your clients. Be the example you're setting for friends. And it's so much easier to just say like, do this, and then you're put in a situation where you're like, okay, actually, challenge your self hate. Be better.
Yeah.
So.
I want to touch on like where, the idea of self-hate even comes from, because it's so strange that we grow up and we learn this behavior. Like, why would it not be our automatic go-to to be self-loving? Why is it so often the opposite? And I think that society plays a huge role in that, right? Like, we're told from the beginning, like from a young age, like we have to look a certain way, we have to do certain things, we have to achieve certain things by certain times, we have to, there's just so many shoulds, and
Mhm.
it's toxic as hell. I know for me, it was like my entire life, oh, I should lose weight. I should lose weight. I've been on diet since I was 6 years old. And it caused a lot of inner turmoil within myself. Like, why am I never good enough? Why is this constantly on my mind? Why am I afraid to eat in front of people? Why? And it just started cause like, you're not good enough. You're unworthy of love. No one really likes you. All the negative self-talk starts coming in. And I just think it's interesting that I think it is so systemic that instead of, being taught self-love growing up, we're taught exactly the opposite, and not necessarily by our parents, but by society.
Mhm.
But I do think that parents could really help out with that in giving their kids just so much positive like coping skills, and stopping their negative talk when they're younger and getting them into that pattern. And I think the future generation could have a better chance if parents do the work on themselves and learn to love themselves, and then demonstrate and model that. The world would be a much nicer, better place, I think.
I agree. And the term that comes to mind when you're speaking for me is conditional worth. Like I had and continue to struggle with the same things in terms of what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, what's going on in the environment, am I being looked at? And then there's also the race piece for me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I can go into a black neighborhood and order fried chicken and just not think about it. But if I'm in Illinois, which I was at some point, or if I'm in Indiana, and I'm one of like three black people in the state, depending on which part of Indiana you're looking at.
Yeah.
Um, I guess city then, but still, like I can't fit these stereotypes. I have to show that I'm different somehow because I'm going to be seen as one of any number of stereotypes, and I'm constantly keeping that running in the back of my mind. Don't fit the image of you that they have.
Right. What's the image of yourself, that what do you want to be?
Mm.
But also not setting a goal that's so unrealistic that you would never be able to meet it. So it's finding that common ground. I think like self-love is just practice and
Mm-hmm.
practice and practice. And it
Mm-hmm.
seems something so silly to practice, but that is the takeaway that I want you all to get from this podcast is, you've learned self-hate. It's not internal always. Sometimes it is, but I would say 90% of the time, it's usually learned.
Mm-hmm.
And then knowing that that's not something that you were born with and that it was something that you learned, you can unlearn it.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts with stopping negative self-talk. Whenever you catch yourself saying like, oh, I look so ugly today. Say like, no, I don't. And literally just, you don't even have to give a positive affirmation, just like saying, nope. That's my favorite one to do when your automatic thoughts, nope, move on. Nope.
I add shut it down in there.
Yeah. So
I just like hearing myself in my head and like, shut it down.
shut it down.
Shut it down.
Honestly, though, like you have to stop it before it spirals.
Mm-hmm.
So again, going back to that awareness piece, everything is about awareness and just being on top of what's going on in there, and in here, because it's both. There has to be that mind body connection, for total self love. So, do you know where we are at time wise? I have no idea. This is our first podcast. Please forgive us.
Nope, but I think we definitely hit a 30-minute mark.
Okay.
So,
to wrap things up, I'm so glad that I have this platform and that I can connect with so many people. It blows my mind every day. I'm constantly, I know, like to T and to my husband every day, I'm just like, this is not like why, and I have negative self-talk of why me, and I'm working on that. But I can't thank all of you enough for giving me this platform. Without you, this would not be possible. Our message would not be reaching anybody. And that's what we're here for, is to get this out and to help people and have some fun while we're doing it. So thank you all so much. If you could subscribe and we're going to have a new episode coming out every week. We have a lot of super fun topics. Next week, do you have that pulled up? I don't have it pulled up.
Well, we had another topic that we wanted to pull up today, so it's probably going to be the toxic people in your life.
Oh yeah, okay. So we're going to do toxicity and boundaries, kind of, and tie with that a little bit, and just toxic people, and
just dealing with all
that. We're getting all Britney Spears up in here. Toxic.
Oh, I didn't see that reference. Fantastic.
Anyway, so like I said,
boom, copyright. Anyway, so
just kidding. Didn't
anyway,
happen.
We're both really happy. Honestly, I'm so glad to be doing this with you, Caitlin. I really do appreciate it. And I would say, out of the now 2,000 followers that I have, which is insane because I started 2 weeks ago, a little less than 2 weeks ago, I would say 1998 came from you, so that's fantastic. And I just do this because I find it fun, I find it interesting, and I really enjoy helping others, especially when they don't know how to reach it, where to go. So if I can make people's days a little bit brighter, give them a little bit more insight, that's what I'm in the field for. So thank you for helping me to get to this point.
I love that. I love that. And thanks for agreeing to do this, because I know it's kind of wild and my life is just wild right now and I need to pinch myself. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much. Look out for next week's. We'll be dropping them on Sundays. And I hope that you have a fantastic and self-loving day.
Take care.
Bye.